All right, and welcome back to the Prometheus Deep Dive, a CNC podcast. And today we'll be talking about episode 9, The Big Move. And my co host is Mckenna. She currently runs her own org, which is under a little bit of a rebrand. We had previous people on like Alex and Morgan. But how you doing today?
I am wonderful. Excited to dive into this. I liked getting to know some people who I haven't gotten the chance to meet in the org community, and then of course my girl Lauren and Andrew. It's been fun to watch everybody and see everybody play their games.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then also, I forgot to say, but you were on our preseason assessment podcast too. So for anyone that saw that or haven't seen that, go and watch it. But let's talk about the episode. So we're going to actually be talking about the boot right now. So for this time at the temple, we saw Caitlyn get sacrificed from the game. How are you feeling about Caitlyn this episode and really her game up to this point?
I think she needed to kickstart just a round or two earlier, where she could have been what they were worried about, of being that under the radar, sneaks into the final and been like, hey, I made these moves, but it was like manipulation of like, I had you vote for this one, I had you vote this way. So I think she really needed to like get away. If she wanted to get away from Lauren like a round or two earlier.
Yeah, I think personally, I thought about that too at one point. I think it could have been beneficial for her to maybe wait one more round, assuming the OG Titans stuck together, because then at that point, the Primordials, they would have had no choice but to come to one of the Titans, and she could have brought Colin and or Kyle or Andrew, whoever would have stayed,
right,
to then take out Lauren, who, as it was mentioned, Lauren is a huge perceived threat, and Colin is a huge perceived threat, as even Kyle says at one point. He says, I don't know why people think he's running the game, but I see that perception and I'm going to act on that perception and use him as a shield in the future. So I think, but I don't blame her. And honestly, I probably would have done something very similar if I was in her spot. I would have probably thought that maybe this was the time. It is the final 6. This is around the time when you really do need to make those moves, because you have no clue what the future is going to hold.
Yeah, as I was watching the show, I was like, holy crap, we're at 6 already. Like I was there's so few people. I was like, where'd everyone go? But sadly they've been sacrificed.
Yeah. And it really sped up, because it feels like it was just like a week or so ago we hit the merge. But then again, the merge was at 9. The game only started with 14 people. The game was originally supposed to start with 16. Yeah. So, a lot has happened, and a lot has happened very quickly. But yeah, Caitlyn was playing a great game. Absolutely. It's a shame that this was her time.
Yeah. Going after someone big at an even number is kind of risky when, there's the option where you could tie, or you just don't have the votes. And Caitlyn just couldn't get those votes on her side when you have someone that's, powerful like Lauren, who can manipulate people away from voting her, which they've tried to get her out now a couple times and it just hasn't worked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said it in an earlier podcast, but the Titans chose very early on. They chose Lauren as the poison of their choice, and they recognized what they were getting. But that is the crazy thing. Aside from maybe a vote here or a vote there, no one's been successful. Lauren definitely is one of the bigger threats in the game, as well as the perceived threat in the game.
Right.
But it does actually kind of strike me as crazy that people were trying a little too hard to get Caitlyn out, because the thing is you're right, at an even number, and especially having 3 OG of one tribe and 3 OG of another tribe, you could potentially tie it. But I also get where Caitlyn was coming from, where it's like, okay, well, if my group says they're going to stay strong, and I'm sure the OG Primordials are going to stay strong, let me just flip to them and we'll have 4,
Yeah.
So I mean, I get that too, but unfortunately, Lauren and Andrew have a very close relationship, and as
I
Andrew.
know that very well.
I mean, for some of us, we did previously talk about, I believe, during the Morgan's podcast, where, Lauren obviously burned Andrew. It's talked about a couple times throughout the show too. But yeah, they have a close relationship. And it's the first time that Andrew actually says it, but his ride or die is Lauren. But he doesn't really think that Lauren is his.
Yeah, which is smart because it comes across that way as well. We also see Lauren say Caro is her ride or die. If I was Andrew, I would not have Lauren as my ride or die because she has that capability of burning him, which he already knows. And I've played actually a long game with Andrew, and it was a live game with Andrew, and he's very much it doesn't matter what has happened in the past, it's what's right now. And if Lauren's telling Andrew sweet nothings, then Andrew's gonna believe it because they have that the relationship of before, where he was our mayor of Ponderosa and he welcomed everyone in and he was super nice. So I think it's kind of very much not in Andrew's best interest to go and trust Lauren. I think he has a good thing with Kyle, and I think he needs to stick with that. But I don't know who his best option then to bring in would be. I guess maybe keep Colin, keep his OG tribe going forward, but Colin is perceived to be a threat. So he should hope that it's a final 2 to get rid of Colin. That's my perception of how Andrew should go about the next phase of this game, but who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, me personally, if I was a player in this game, the way that I would be perceiving it would be, okay, there is a perception. Perception is oftentimes reality. And everyone thinks that Colin ran things for the Primordials and in a sense ran things for the Merge. Lauren ran things for the Titans and in a sense is running things for the Merge. So get them out. Because if someone's sitting in a room for 8 hours thinking this whole time Colin and Lauren are running the game, Colin and Lauren are running the game, it might be hard to convince someone in a matter of less than an hour at the Ascension ceremony that, hey, Colin or Lauren didn't actually run the game and it was me all along,
the big reveal. And it's like, no, we've been thinking that they've been running the game the entire time. And it's just, it would be hard for a Kyle to try and combat a Colin at the end, where Kyle would be like, yeah, I voted every single time. Colin had like 1 correct vote, 2 correct votes maybe. And he's kind of on a decline, but he still has the status. His like voting and correct way of going is on a decline, but like he's still up there with threat level.
Yeah. And the only way that you could possibly get around it is if you are really like, you are a good talker, because we've even seen, even though obviously it is based on Survivor, I hate kind of always referencing Survivor, but we've seen that a lot of times people who did play pretty good games, they fumble, hardcore fumble at the end.
Yeah.
And their whole final tribal speech screwed them.
I mean, the biggest example is Amanda Kimmel.
Amanda's a great example. I think someone like little bit different because it kind of goes of a hero versus villain sort of thing. Let's take it to All Stars, for instance, Rob and Amber. Rob played this villainous game. I think if he owned it and wouldn't have apologized too much, he might have been able to get the votes. Oh God, what's the season? The coach's final season, same thing. He fumbled. He just constantly apologized. And then he let other people present and owned themselves, and they did well, and then they end up winning. So a little bit varying scenarios, but all kind of the same. People that performed strongly outdid those. So you have to, but you never know. And it's really hard to tell who's going to be, who's going to perform well at the end and who's not, which is something that Andrew says. And he says, like, Caitlyn's the perceived GOAT. I don't think she's a GOAT. And she could also blow us all away at the Ascension ceremony.
Right.
So we have that. But the one thing that's always confused me is, while we as the viewers and me as production know the moves that Caitlyn's been making throughout the game, the players can never seem to reference, unless for some reason something's slipping my mind, the players can't ever seem to really reference why her game is strong. Just the fact that people want to take her to the end because she's perceived as the GOAT. But if she's taken to the end, then she's easily beatable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's at least where I go.
Yeah. If you're the person that everyone wants to take to the end, it's a good and a bad thing, where it's like, maybe I need to do something, but if I do something, will it make them not want to take me to the end? Do I get my guarantee, or do I try and like make my move and see if I get there?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Just like overall, take out the strong people, then you can take out the GOATs and go with someone who's played a game, but not as strong as you. Yeah. That's just the way that I look at it. But yeah, so let's kind of move on to the challenge for a second. So what did you think of this challenge? This was the Knowledge of Apollo Part 2. We saw that the last time this was played was literally the round right before the merge.
I honestly love this challenge because I'm a big Greek mythology gal. So I wasn't taking notes every time you were describing a challenge, but during the first part, I was like, okay, this is the answer. Half the people get it wrong. I'm like, well, like I'm just a Greek mythology nut. So I loved it. And I think it's an interesting way to tie in like your challenge descriptions and stuff like that, where it's like, pay attention to literally everything around you. Everything could mean something.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think, one of the things with that too is I love that is like, just pay attention to the game. Really, just pay attention. Because some people don't even do that. They never pay attention to the game. And then you really have legitimate GOATs who blow through to the end of the game, who didn't pay attention, didn't make moves, whatever. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love that. And then, even if everyone should have known by day 2 to take notes, and some of them did, but then some people were like, I'm not taking notes. It's not going to help.
Lauren, I just wanted to just go like that when I heard her say that, because it's like I remember distinctly you saying part 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be a part 2. And if part 2 is anything like part 1, remember what the heck Casey said, or try and like remember from before, just in case other from pre-merge stuff comes up. Ask questions to your fellow castmates. Like, I just, why wouldn't you? And it clearly helped Andrew, because he got the Eternal Flame, and now that Joe is out.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty basic. I mean, I'm just looking, I have my notes up here on the other screen. Andrew won with 5. Caro had 4. So that was really close. Colin, Kyle, and Caitlin all had 3, and then Lauren had 1. The only one that Lauren got was the challenge thing, which obviously she paid attention to who won, and it was Joe and David at the end of day 1. And I think looking at the 8 questions that I have up here, there's only 3 or 4.
The aqueduct one is really easy, and I think the tribe colors are pretty easy too. But
yeah, I mean, I could
just me.
Yeah, I agree. I think in a sense, the tribe colors could be like the second hardest question, but like literally the colors, there's been 3 colors that have been consistent. When they were putting their tribe group chats, that was the image in their group chat. Everyone had that. So they should know primordials were blue, titans were orange, and when they merged as the Olympians, it was black. Yep. You should at least know 2 of the 3. And then even so, in the previous challenges, we use those same colors. So it's been those reoccurring
the
colors.
theme of the season.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe in spur of the moment, it slips their mind, but it's something that everyone should have gotten. I think the Hestia question, aside from Dionysus, who's considered to be the 12th god of the Greek pantheon, that's one little line. I could see that slipping your mind. But yes,
Right.
the Aqueduct people should have gotten, the Nemesis one people should have gotten, the Primordial should have gotten their own question.
Like, I was
it's crazy. And it's still, I mean, it really, even so, if you weren't paying attention to the story for whatever reason, I really feel like everyone should have also gotten that Joe and David were the winners of the last challenge of day one.
Yep.
You know, but like I said, that was the only one that Lauren got. And I mean, it was only 8 questions and it was still kind of close. Like I said, Colin, Kyle, and Caitlin all got 3 points. Kara got 4 and Dandra got 5. It could have very, very easily been a tie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
if a tie happened, you would have gone to a tiebreaker. So until one person was the actual victor of the game.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say if Kara would have gotten one other question right and it would have been an Andrew and Kara tie. I had, because we also had the other trivia challenge, we had like other tiebreaker questions. Because we had a lot of questions planned out for the first time we did that challenge during day one, that we didn't even touch upon. So I could have pulled from any of those. And we even did that for the Colin Kyle tiebreaker right in the beginning of day 2. So, you know, that's the easiest tiebreaker. It's pretty much always going to be the tiebreaker for these types of things. Pay attention to the game. If you pay attention, should do well.
Yep.
So we've touched upon Caitlin, we've touched upon the dynamics, a little bit of tribe life and a little bit of challenges. Any other tribe life stuff that we want to maybe hit on?
I think the one thing of like, nobody has number ones. The game is all kind of blown open. And I think that is kind of true to an extent, where like some people don't have number ones, but then other people have multiple. Like Lauren is banking on Caro, but also has Andrew in her pocket. Andrew is with Lauren, but also with Kyle, but he's also in talks with Colin. I think Andrew and Caro are kind of, barring anything crazy, are kind of in the best spots here, because Kyle's kind of flying under the radar where I don't think people are seeing him as much. And then we have the faces of like Lauren and Colin that everybody is going to be like, this next vote probably go for like, all right, we're getting out one of them now. But
yeah. I mean, it is very interesting. Like I said, I think they all are playing really good games. Yeah, and once again, a lot of it does come down to perception about what people perceive, and even how strongly people can convince others, that they were playing this game all along. But Colin did say something very interesting where it's like, like that's not really true. There's not really any goats. No one's riding anyone's coattails, because some people are loud and some people are not. And I feel like that really, kind of speaks to Kyle. And we had a very interesting moment with Kyle this episode, which, if you're not 100% attentive, you could very easily miss this line. But Kyle says 2 things. But the thing you can miss is that he says, when Caitlin proposes to the guys that, this is the time to get out Lauren, Kyle says to Colin in the group chat, like, hey, Andrew's not budging. You can't convince him otherwise. And Colin does say, fairly certain it makes the episode, so I apologize if I'm seems like I'm lying, but Colin is pretty much convinced of that. So Kyle kind of swindled Colin into thinking that it might be, futile to try and do that. So he's trying to reach and hopefully take his last shot, as he does say in his one confessional, of getting Lauren out. So good on Kyle for that. And then Kyle, we see him, he kind of outlines his whole plan for the game. And so we at least know that check 1, getting Caitlin out works. And even Andrew's got this plan for the game. Although we're not 100% sure of it, we just know that Lauren is his ride or die. And he got his target out that he mentioned right in the beginning of the episode. Caitlin. Because
that knocks even though Lauren might be his ride or die, that knocks Lauren down a peg because she technically only has Caro from her OG. So
Mhm.
it keeps kind of her in check a little bit, saying like, oh, she can't totally flip on me because she would have to get one of my guys.
Yeah. So, and it is very interesting too of the OG tribes. It's like 3 guys versus 3 girls. Someone even commented on the Facebook page, it's they said the Lady Titans versus the Guy Mordials. So I kind of like that. I thought that was kind of humorous.
That's funny.
But any other thoughts on Tribe Life or anything from this episode?
No, it was a pretty solid episode. I just how it got back to Lauren, that I guess because did Andrew spill to Lauren
Yeah.
that it was her? Yeah. That's the worry, I guess, is if they don't know Andrew is close to Lauren, with Caitlin being, let's get out Lauren right in front of a big group.
Yeah.
It
I
is risky not doing it one-on-one.
Yeah, I think there were only a couple people in the game that knew about their relationship. Andrew
Mhm.
told Colin day one about their relation. Yeah, Andrew told Colin day one about their relationship. And then I think it was in the I think it was the
Mhm.
7th or 8th episode, Colin does tell 2 people in a room. I don't remember who was in that room. I think it was Anna and someone else. Colin does
Mhm.
say that they played a game and he got burned, but it was kind of like a one and done. No one
Yeah.
ever seemed to really like think too hard about, them having a prior relationship.
Yeah.
So there's that. Oh, that was loud. Um,
Yes.
but all right, so we are going to kind of shift on over to the Ember Award. So for those who don't know, the Ember Award is the like MVP of the episode, the person who stand out. Everyone's got their own criteria, but we like to award 2 of them on each podcast, one by me and one by the co-host. So like I said, everyone's got their own criteria, whether it's strategic, social, just pure drama or entertainment. So we're going to start with you. Who would you like to award the Ember Award to?
I feel like I have to give it to Kyle. I mean, he was like, all right, so this round is Caitlin's turn. There's Caitlin. So I think definitely Kyle had his plan and was like, all right, let's execute, and executed it. And Caitlin's out, and having Lauren turn on Caitlin, Caro turn on Caitlin, and only having Colin on the outs for that vote, I think he did a great job with it.
Okay, fair enough. I was kind of stuck between 3 people, but I was definitely leaning towards one person, which is exactly who I'm going to award the Ember Award to, which is Andrew, with an honorable mention of Kyle and Caitlin. Pretty much, my honorable mention to Kyle is kind of what you were saying. I loved his little play to try and keep Colin, not trying too hard with Andrew, because he was just like, they had that big strategic talk. It was the best strategic talk they had the whole game. Caitlin, you got to make that big move. I think she had the right idea, because she did say she wanted to play that little game.
Mhm.
She shot her shot, but unfortunately it didn't work out. If it would have worked out, I think I'd be getting her the Ember Award. But to Andrew, I think Andrew said right from the beginning that he wanted Caitlin gone. The OG Titans needed to gain that advantage. He, kept his, trying to find my wording. He utilized his relationship with Lauren really well in this instance. And then in addition to that, he also, to everybody in the game, casted doubt about Colin by saying like, he's got the most charisma, and he did it in a really good way, where some people are aggressive and it's like, Colin's too charismatic, we got to get him out. He like posed it as a question, and he
Yeah.
used it as a discussion. So loved all of Andrew's points. I think Andrew was definitely the for me, one of the MVPs, if not the MVP, which is why I'm giving him my Ember Award. So on that note, do you have any final thoughts before we conclude?
No, great episode. Loved it.
Cool. All right. Well, on that note, thank you for joining me today. And thank you for everyone who listened in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd be greatly appreciated. And on that note, stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.